What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Swanky Cat Productions channel. My name's Ben. That is my Suzuki King Quad 500 AXI back there. I've owned this machine for the last 3 years now, and since we don't have enough snow to go snowmobiling, I decided I'm going to take this thing out for a rip today. I'll bring you guys with, and I'll tell you what I think of it. So before I get into exactly what I think of this four-wheeler specifically, I think it's probably worth just explaining why it is exactly that I bought a four-wheeler in the first place. Number one biggest reason is just to do work around the house and the yard here. Mostly snow plowing, but also kind of some log hauling and just general utility type stuff. And the second reason, and I guess the reason that I spent a little bit more and bought something a little bit newer and nicer, was just that I wanted something that I could play around with a little bit like we're doing here today, but then also do some trail riding with, even though I do own a couple off-road dual-purpose motorcycles as well as the snowmobile, and this is kind of a good in-between type season thing. Oop, right over my fire pit. To be completely honest, it definitely, put her in low here, definitely serves both of those purposes. Probably the first one more so than the second. It's still fun to bomb around on my trails here, of course. And I mean, if I wanted a higher power machine, obviously I should have got one. They sell this in a 750. Could have bought that. But the 500 is adequate for around the house type work. Doesn't quite do it for me on the trails, to be honest, and maybe it's the plush suspension. It just makes you feel like you're going slower than you really are. I like to kind of feel a little bit out of control. Maybe it's just that, but this thing does kind of bore me on the trails. I've had it out a couple times, and it's just not really enough for me to get excited about it. I'd much rather ride my bikes or my sled, but it definitely is something that you can do that on all day long. It's more than comfortable enough, and if you're just looking for kind of a leisurely ride, then it's probably gonna be just fine for you. As far as the housework and stuff, I really should put some different tires on it, but for snow plowing most of the time it is absolutely more than enough. There's been a couple heavy wet snowfalls that kind of didn't really cut it. I think having some tires that actually had some decent tread depth left to them would probably have made a big difference during those cleanups. Woo! But otherwise, it definitely has pretty much done everything that I've asked it to. One thing that's definitely helped, just even the last couple days here, is I finally cranked the shocks all the way up to the last click, so they're as stiff as they can get, and that actually seems like it makes it a lot more fun for me to ride anyway. Woo. And as you've already seen here a bit today, this thing is amazing at climbing hills. I've always been very impressed with both this one and the King Quad 400 that I had. I have actually used the four-wheel drive a lot. I've used the diff lock a few times. Actually yesterday when I was stuck on one of these hills, I put that in, and it seems like that does help a bit. It's nice to have, but the tires definitely aren't quite cutting it. We're down to the dirt, it does a little bit better, but that I think would probably make the biggest difference. I definitely like that you can switch it in and out of four-wheel. That's super nice, especially if you want to slide around a bit and have some fun. So I mean, in general, this thing really has done everything that I've needed it to, and really has been a great four-wheeler. It is a little bit past due for a valve check, so that's been making starts a little bit hard, but other than that, it's been pretty maintenance free, and it's definitely something that I've been happy with for the most part. I mean, obviously there's always things to complain about no matter what you buy, but this thing really has been really very good to me. And if I had to go back and do it all over again, I think I definitely would. I think maybe a 750 would make me a little bit happier out on the trails, but that really wasn't my main reason for buying this. Again, it was really just supposed to be a utility quad, and it's not a sport quad, and I guess maybe that's kind of what I'm expecting it to be out on the trails, and obviously it's just not. So I think for the purpose and the audience that this thing is intended for, the consumer that it's intended for, I think it definitely fits the bill, and I'm really pretty darn happy with it. It's been a good four-wheeler, and you guys saw the other four-wheeler that I've got in the garage there. I just finally got that going again and was able to take it out for a ride, and honestly, after I did, it kind of gave me a lot more respect for this machine and how nice it does ride. I kind of prefer a solid axle in the back. Independent rear suspension is much better for real deep mud, and for off-road riding in general. It makes it a lot more comfortable. But for my purposes and my specific tastes, kind of coming off of sport quads, it just doesn't quite really feel right on the trails. It's a little bit harder to get the rear end to kick out, I feel like. But again, I think that's me putting expectations on this thing that it was just not designed to do and to meet. So I think in general, this is definitely a good machine. Don't expect a sport quad. Don't expect a absolute monster. But in general, I think for a utility quad, and really for the general purposes that I bought it for, I think it's really a good machine. So if you guys have any comments or questions about this four-wheeler, make sure to leave them down in the comment box below. I will do my best to answer them. If you guys want to see more videos of the beautiful Wisconsin woods, make sure you click on this Swanky Cat logo here. I put a video out every week on either a sled or a motorcycle, so be sure and check those out. If you can get out and enjoy this beautiful world, make sure you do that today. Otherwise, if you can't, then we'll check out some more videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, stay safe, and stay swanky.